having confidence, but not like too much confidence, like an ego.
Yeah.
So, you know, somebody who has humility, that's, you know, humble. Bye, Mom. Oh. And then, and the other thing is, of course, and especially for the parlor, for instance, if you're looking at kind of a cocktail bar, it would be, you know, have you created cocktails before? Do you understand balance and flavor, things like that? But in the tap room, where it's a little bit more on speed and personality, it would really be come down to the personality, and obviously they'd have to have some kind of experience. But you know, I don't go in and look, oh, I need to have like these technical things need to be boom, boom, boom. That's something you can teach somebody if they're the right fit for the team. They have great personality and they carry themselves well. They're well spoken and they can hold up a conversation and make you feel comfortable and good. That's a really great sign that, you know, that's somebody I really want behind the bar.
Okay. Okay. All right, guys. So you heard the answer. Now let's go to the present and the future situation. So, can you tell us something about when COVID hit New York City? Because New York is off the charts. I hear in terms of the COVID.
Yes.
You know, yeah, infected person. So how what can you say about that?
Well, it is not the best place to be right now, Manhattan, which is why I left until things get a little more safe. Everything just kind of changed. Every day was different. Like one day would be, oh, we're just gonna have like less hours and 50% occupancy, and then the next day we had to close at 8 o'clock at night, and then we were done. So it was strange. You know, some people are doing these to go drinks and food, and it makes sense for maybe bars that have like maybe a little easier to operate, that they can have one or two people go in and just like bang out, you know, 50 drinks to do delivery. But for us, that it would have been a lot of work for not a whole lot of return.
Okay.
We basically gutted the bar. Like the four of us went in and we just completely cleaned out everything, scrubbed it down, sealed everything, and we boarded it up. Because especially down, and we're also in financial districts, so when everything's shut down, it's not like we're in like a very neighborhood condensed area. It's growing, but it's not like being in the East Village. So it didn't make sense for us. But when we do reopen, hopefully in the next couple of months, we will do takeout and to go and all that stuff. But it's not something we'll just do solely. But yeah, so, New York is a scary place. It's I'm not there, so I left right as soon as I.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, like this has been an ongoing question for the past guests also that we had here. So, do you think there like a really new norm for the bar industry, especially in New York, where you know it's especially after what do you call this? After work hours, people really need to go to a bar, you know, have a drink, meet some friends, and stay there till God knows what time. But how does COVID affects that?
I mean, we're looking at right now. It's still, again, nothing's open yet, and the guidelines are still up in the air. And we're researching, like, we're reading what we can and what we need to understand that. But it's going to be, people are going to have to sit 6 feet apart. You know, again, if you only have a small area, seating area in your bar, it's going to be difficult.
It's crazy, right? 6 feet apart.
We're fortunate that, you know, we have a lot of area we don't use all the time, but we can.
Okay.
So we are fortunate in that sense. I worry about the bars that have less room and to work with, because if you can 6 feet apart and you have 30 seats, and that's what, 6 people in the bar. Like, I mean, is that even fun? I don't know.
Exactly.
No. Like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, is it going to work? Are people going to be super strict about it? Who knows? But I think for, you know, I know for us personally, like, we're not going to open until it makes sense. We're not going to open to have 10 people in the bar. We're going to open when we can start at least breaking even and have a healthy business. And that when people can be safe and feel safe about going out. Um, and it is going to be strange. You're going to have your bartender in a mask and gloves, and it's just going to be odd. And we're all going to have to kind of get used to it. And I think things, I have friends that live in Shanghai and such, and they're like, yeah, things
Yeah.
are fine now. Like, I take taxis again, and there's traffic now, and we're going to bars, and it's pretty wild. So that gives me hope that things will eventually calm down as once this vaccination comes out and people can get tested easily. Um,
Okay. Well, yeah, we all hope for the best. But okay, since you say that you're totally close, so how do you guys take care of your staff? I mean,
um,
do you have like a plan or
well, right now, everyone's furloughed, so everyone can collect their unemployment, which is great.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
government
so
takes care of that. All
unless
right.
like some of our back of the house cannot, because like if you have a visa, um,
Mm-hmm.
or like there's certain other things. So um, there are some people that can't collect, and those are the people for like when we do a GoFundMe, that's where that money goes.
Okay.
To the people that can't collect. Everyone else is financially pretty healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That worked in the front of the house, um, as far as I know. But checking in with everybody here and there, everyone seems fine that's collecting. And then when
Mm-hmm.
we reopen, we can't just hire 100% back. So it's going to have to go in stages as we see, New York
Fit.
coming back
Okay.
to life, and as it gets busier, that we can start bringing people in to come back. But it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to be a difficult time. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so well, of Booze has a comment. I love how the tasting session that was described in Death and Co. books and the comic style menu of Dead Rabbit. So shout out to Baron of Booze. So
Thank
yeah, I
you.
told you since Death and Co. You have a lot of followers here in the Philippines.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. And Death
Uh,
and Co was a fun thing to write, but let me just tell you that it was a lot more. That was the nice version of the book. Just saying. The tasting sessions,
okay.
it got a little more intense in person, which is funny.
Yeah, well, that Death and Co has a bit of a vibe. I've been there. I mean, from the door itself and
It's a little
what you're
moody. Yeah.
inside. Yeah. It's quite cool. It's quite each. So, what can you say about? Well, which leads you to this question. So, what led you to the New York bartending scene? I mean, there's
Well,
plenty of cities, right? So, why
yes.
New York?
Well, like I said in the beginning, I after high school moved from the Boston area to Phoenix area, and then when I wanted to come back to the East Coast, I came back to my little town that I'm in now. Um, and I kind of figured, oh, I'll just go up to Boston. But Boston really wasn't. I love Boston, but I knew I wasn't super excited, and I ended up going to New York a few times that summer, and I just absolutely fell in love with New York. Like it was just my speed. Like I'm a go go go. Like always have to have something to do. Um, you can get anything you want when you want, wherever you want, and that was like exciting to me. So that's kind of how I fell in love with New York, and just over that summer that I moved back, and I kind of did the pros and cons of Boston versus New York, and New York for me won. So here I am.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I understand that completely. There's another question by Baron Obus. I think if ever we're cut, we'll resume again just to recap everything and then we close because I don't know if it's gonna be um, cut off anytime soon. But yeah, Baron of Booze is asking if you can compare what sets. I don't know if you can answer this, but that's up to
I
you.
see it.
If you can compare Death and Co and Dead Rabbit.
Very different bars, but as far as like the parlor in the Dead Rabbit and the and Death and Co, I'd say the skill sets of the bartenders would be very similar, as far
Mm-hmm.
as speed, technique, and also drink creation. I think that both of those bars are at the top of their game when it comes to all those things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and really, like every bar manager has, like you kind of leave something behind. So like I was saying, like being like I learned from Joaquin and Thomas and Phil, and then then you bring people up and they learn from you, and it's this kind of, you get bits and pieces of everybody. So I mean, Death and Go is just, I love their drinks. I think they do a fantastic job, and I see kind of some similarities of things between our programs, and maybe that's because it's where I really learned how to create cocktails, and that's the style, and then kind of going on to Dead Rabbit and bringing my own style to it, but also a little bit of what I had over at DNC. So it's that kind of learning and growth and movement that you learn from everything, every bar that you work at. But as far as DNC is super dark and it's small and it's the food is different. It's a little more like, you got chandeliers and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, I'd say it's cozy in its own way, but it's just a kind of darker, moodier place. And, your music is going to be a little different depending on who's working. And, and then you have Dead Rabbit. That's, it's an Irish pub. It's very warm. And like, I always say it's a bar that gives you a hug. So it's just super cozy. And like, if you're feeling homesick and want a nice kind of home cooked meal, it's where you go to feel that, I guess. So that there are different, but the similarities would be definitely in the skill set of the bartenders and the cocktails themselves.
Okay. Maybe I think Luis Puno is your friend. He was talking about, he's asking about undocumented immigrants. So he's asking, how do you take care of these people if in case, they apply? I mean, I don't know. I don't really know
Well,
the answer to that. But
yeah, I mean, this is happening all over the world. And as far as
yeah.
in America, anybody that, I guess, if you've been paying taxes and you're an illegal alien, but you've been paying taxes for 3 years, you can actually file, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I mean, everybody that works for us has a social security number and all that. I think a lot
One last shout out to everybody.
of business, but that's the people that cannot collect unemployment. I'll just kind of say
Mm-hmm.
briefly, that's where our GoFundMe money is going. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hold on. I can't see. Can you hear me? Wait.
I
My
can, but you gotta.
Yeah. My video is kind of. I don't know what happened to this one. Hold on. All right. There you go. Okay. So I think maybe last two questions. Maybe do you have you worked with Filipinos in your career time?
I mean, I've, I've, I can't say, oh, someone that's come over from the Philippines and worked with me directly, but I mean, I don't, not really. No, I don't think so.
Okay. So, but do you know any Filipinos in New York, like Marlo? I'm pretty sure you know Marlo Hamora
Oh, I know
of
Marlo. Yeah.
Dante.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, yeah.
Filipino. And
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
okay, so not directly. So you haven't really directly worked with Filipinos in the whole career. So mostly it's either same Americans or Latinos and whatnot.
I mean, people from all over. So, we have people from Argentina and people from Bulgaria, people from Canada, Ireland, all over. So,
Okay, but do you have like an impression? Oh, okay. I don't know if it crossed your mind, but you ever had an impression of Southeast Asia or Philippines, like how it is here, or well, probably you're occupied, so that you really haven't thought of it. I mean, just
I mean,
curious.
I mean, in general, I've been to Asia quite a bit,
Mm-hmm,
and I
mm-hmm.
know everything's really booming right now as far as the cocktail scene and the food scene and everything. So I guess I'm just a bit naive. I've never been to the Philippines, so and I wouldn't want to single out a group of people, but from what I know, hardworking, and you guys are really pushing you know the bars and the scene to kind of to learn and to do things like this. Or I know you guys have had that bar show that you have. So I just kudos to you guys, and just keep going for it. Um, But yeah, I don't have an exact
All right.
opinion, but
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so wait, let me do one round through. So I think do our audience have one last question? Actually, it was a very worthwhile 1 hour with our guest over here. So again, one last shout out to everybody who is in Toma Sessions. Hello. Okay, guys. Sorry, we got cut for the first hour, but we'll close with our guest of honor, who's here in 3, 2, 1. There, see, I told you we got cut. By the
yeah,
way, so I just saw. Thank you to our 238 viewers.
wow,
Woo,
that's so
woo!
cool,
Yeah,
everybody.
man. Yeah, thanks for. I'm pretty. I told you, I'm pretty sure this will be a blockbuster. So, yeah, I do hope that. Well, I don't know if I recorded our first conversation. I have to check it out after we close. But, yeah, I think are we down to one last question? Ramil, FNB Independent. Maybe you have a question. He's a good friend of mine.
My
Um,
cousin Daniel, hello. Um, so I remember a couple questions. One was about marketing,
okay,
and
yeah. Christian
sales.
asked that. So it's regarding the COVID. So yeah, I guess. Okay, what would you like to answer that? How does that affect the
Uh,
marketing and the sales?
well, the marketing, obviously since we're not open, we used to do like 5 Facebook or Instagram posts a week. We've obviously stopped doing that, but we will kind of slowly but surely build it up again. Um, and as far as the marketing goes, we're still kind of doing stuff behind the scenes, but we just launched a new menu. Um, we're working on a book, but that got pushed back because of COVID, and there's really nothing new for us to be doing, and we're not making money, so we're not investing anything into anything new
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we still. Oh, what is that? Um, so we'll get everything back up and running when the time comes. But right now, there's really not much to do. Our bar team has done stuff with brands or like with local community boards and stuff to do fun stuff for downtown or for uh, things like that. And then something about changing menu every 6 months for a hotel bar is a
Yeah,
good
I think
idea.
we.
That kind of thing. It really depends. I mean, changing your menu, it really depends on the bar. Until like I see it in action or have an idea what the bar is like. It doesn't make sense for everybody to change all their drinks every six months. It's kind of
Yeah.
I don't do it in the tap room. I would lose my mind if I had to do 2 full menus. That would be 56 different cocktails every 6 months. That's a lot in different bars and setups and ingredients. So
Mm-hmm.
it needs to make sense for you. I mean, I think changing half of it or take out what's really not seasonal or maybe drinks that really worked well you don't take off for a longer period of time, so it really just depends on the venue. um
Mm.
and don't
Shout
just
out
change.
shout out Curious Bartender. So he's also from the Philippines.
Okay, hello.
He has a flame. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, go on. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was
So
saying, if don't change your menu just to change it for the heck of it.
the heck
You
of it.
know, change it because it makes sense. Change it because you're excited about an ingredient that came on the market. Change it because it's seasonally appropriate, or something is like in season, like ripe, and it's readily available. To change something because you can't get it in the Philippines during that time of year. So that all has seasonality has a big part to do with it, and availability. Um, but if you're changing a drink, but it's not even better than the one you're replacing, why are you doing that? So making sure that you're not just putting filler drinks, that you're, say, changing a few drinks, like that's great because it's still keeping everybody innovative and your guests are getting excited for new cocktails, but you're not killing yourself to do it just to do it. Um, and not everybody has a bar team that is, has that kind of skill set. If
Mm,
I was by myself and had to come up with 30 drinks every 6 months, that's a huge undertaking. That would be really difficult to do. Especially, I mean, I have my own little test bar, and that would still be difficult for me to do. Um, but if you're running the bar and you only have a small bar team and you're the only one doing cocktails, that's not something I would want to do. Like just think about the
yeah,
bar team, their skill set, and how feasible is that for you? So
yeah,
it
yeah.
depends.
Okay. Here's a question. I wanted to ask you. What's two things. One is, how did you find the adjustment from being a staff to like a director? I mean, how did you, how long was the adjustment, and how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, there's different types of situations, and I don't know what one's easier than the other. But like at Death and Co, I was a bartender that got promoted to the bar manager. And if I was to go back now, I would have done a lot of things differently. But I learned so much. But I was young, and it was my first real like bar management job, so I had to figure out a lot of stuff on my own and put systems in
Mm-hmm.
place that weren't there before for already up and running programs. So it was exciting times, and I learned a lot. But if I could go back, I would definitely have done more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would have delegated more. I wouldn't have been at the bar as long, as far as like being there all day and then working all night. It was too much. But that was me. That was a me problem. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, I sometimes find like, oh, well, I have to be at work to feel like I'm doing something. But if I was to just focus on doing 10 hours really, really well, as opposed to just being in the building, it's not the same thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then when at Dead Rabbit, I was hired as the bar manager. So I came in like as an outside person coming into the role
Coming in.
that developed into much more in the years after that. So,
Progress.
and
Okay.
then now, thankfully, a partner. But it's that in a way was easier, but it was hard because they're like, who's this person that's coming in that we worked here for a year and now you hired somebody to come in and
Exactly. Yeah.
be essentially my boss. And
Mm.
in a way, it's like you don't have that emotional attachment to them yet because you weren't in the trenches with them and then got
Mm.
moved up. So it was hard for me to be a on the same
Page.
playing field and then
Yeah.
have all of a sudden like be like, hey, you know, you screwed up, or you're late, or whatever it is. I don't, that's just hypothetical.
Yeah.
Then have to kind of feel it's awkward, when somebody's one of your best buddies, and you hang out and you work together and you go out and drink together, and you laugh together, you have your jokes and all this stuff, and then you have to then kind of be this kind of bad guy.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. I
the
know what you
other
mean.
thing where you're coming into a situation where you don't really know the staff, or maybe you do know some of them, and now you're like, hi, I know you guys have busted your butts for the last year, and now I'm just showing up and doing this thing. So there was pros and cons to each one. I wouldn't say one's easier than the other, but when you're going into a management job, like
Yeah, it
first
can be
thing,
tough.
I think it's like, okay, you set the tone. Like this is how I do things. This is how I roll, um, kind of thing.
All right.
What's
Okay.
your question?
Here's one. How do you keep your guests, especially your regulars, interested in your bar? How do you keep them coming back, basically? What
Um,
are the...
it's definitely the staff. I mean, a lot of people would say people follow bartenders, not bars, and I think that's partly true. But you definitely will notice certain regulars come on certain days because they go to see their favorite bartender. I mean, some of our regulars are like family. Like they do amazing things for us. Like I know they've been super supportive of us during this COVID thing,
Mm-hmm.
tuning into things like this, and supporting us like not only like financially, like donating to our GoFundMe, but just as keeping in touch. People that you see on a weekly basis um, are now just poof, like you don't see them anymore. So we actually text each other and check in and send each other, funny videos and stuff, and that's really where I think the regulars come from is the staff. And on top of that, again, it's we're blessed to have a bar that you can go to a few times a week and it doesn't feel weird. Like the downstairs pub is an everyday kind of bar. Like you can go in and have a
Yeah.
few pints, and we have people that come in almost every day. And it's not weird. It's like if I feel like I went to if I went to PDT 3 times a week, like that might be a problem. Maybe not, but I'm just it wouldn't be like to spend the cocktail scene. Like if you're having like going in and having 3 cocktails, it's $60, say for instance. So to spend $60 on 3 drinks times 3 or 4 times a week, like that's a lot. So
Yes.
we're lucky that we have the kind of the pub cozy. You can stand in. It might be busy, might not be, but you can have an Irish coffee or a pint or highball, and you can see the other regulars, see your favorite bartenders, say what's up, and you can be on your way. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, here's another one. Sorry, yeah, they just keep coming now. But will are you still okay? Are you still
Yeah, I mean it's 10:30 in the
okay?
morning. I have nothing to do, so.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, so hi Jillian, as director. So what's your management style? What type of a manager is Jillian,
Oh boy.
basically?
Um. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you here. I don't read any of those crazy. I don't. Something I don't read any. I don't read a lot of those crazy management books, so I couldn't tell you like the technical term.
Okay.
Um. I I guess in a way, I have a way that I like things. And now that I've been there for almost 6 years, or no, more than 6 years, I think, my team has either come up while I've been there or they've known me since I started. Um, but yeah, it's a particular thing. Like they get to know your pet peeves and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of the way that you, like us as a management team, see the way things work. I guess management style, I guess I'm firm and fair. I don't like confrontations, so that's something that I need to work on. I don't like having the uncomfortable situations happen where
Yeah.
you need to really sit down with somebody. But if something really makes my blood boil, like to like take a day to calm down and then have a productive conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly, like our staff is pretty great. You know, Obviously the support staff will need a little bit more like sometimes a little more grooming or like a little more like extra drive to get them to be motivated. But typically like trying to be as present as possible. I'm. It's kind of weird because it's kind of a job that it's hard to describe because Laura, who's my like kind of my other half, she's more on the floor and a little bit more like dealing with the floor and everything, whereas I'm more looking at like what goes across the bar. So
Okay. Okay.
but like the 2 or 3 days a week that I'm actually the manager, so she has days off. I try to be present and like anything anything that you have to do, I'm gonna do too. Like I'm not like there's no above or beyond. Like I'm gonna bus tables, I'm gonna run food, I'm gonna take out the trash, um, and just keeping everybody on their toes. I mean, I'm not mean or nasty or anything like that. I try to stay
Okay. Okay.
positive and have a good time. But when it comes down to it, you got to make sure that the room runs and your business is running to be the best it can be and to maximize the room and I mean it comes down to making money too. So
Yeah.
looking at
Exactly.
looking at the bottom line and seeing how you can keep that to where it needs to be. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know
So
anything. So that's
no, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Well, because I think FNB independent or I mean is also into management. I mean I told you you get all sorts of questions, but yeah, we get you definitely. Okay. I think Baccarat Bar. This was asked earlier. What's your do you have a dream job basically? If you weren't in the bar industry.
oh, if I wasn't in the bar industry, I was like, I pretty much have the dream job. If I wasn't in the bar industry, oh man. Um, I mean, I don't know what I do. I guess I don't know, I'd be in the circus or something. Something weird.
Okay, I have a question. So, what's a typical day like for you on a
When I
regular
actually have
day?
to go to work.
Yeah.
So typically, especially on the weekdays, I usually try to make sure I'm up by around 9:30. Check my phone, make sure everyone's, that's opening is on their way or there's no issues or, you know, I see how many emails I got from Jack that morning or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then once I know everything's okay, I can chill out for a little bit and I usually get to work between 11 and 12. Um,
Okay.
so then you go in and we basically and Laura would be doing the same thing. But if I was the manager that day, I would go in and we have like our kind of our hallmarks, we call them. So I would
Mm-hmm.
make sure that all there's no light bulbs out, that the bathrooms are 100%. All the little tiny little things like everything's been dusted. We have oh, hi Lynette. Hi. That there's no gum underneath the tables or whatever. So those are kind of like the menus are clean, and those are just kind of things that our staff know to do. But it's just to kind of check all those little hallmarks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would be doing emails for a while and checking in on service like a few times every hour, and then just kind of making sure our guests are having a great time and that the kitchen's running smoothly and in between all that, my work would be, working on a book or working on the menu or, dealing with media requests and things like that. So, putting systems together, reading articles, like, I mean, there's so many different things. Every day is very different.
But how
Um,
often is your sleep? How long do you sleep? What's your regular sleeping hours?
Usually like I'd say 2 in the morning to about 9:30 in the morning,
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
nine.
that's still pretty normal. Okay, you have one question here. He's a student. He's still studying at the university. Hi, ma'am. How do you handle guest complaints?
Um, Obviously, um, you have to be very sensitive to the fact that they're upset. If it's in person, just staying very calm, like keeping your hands open, um, having empathy with them, but also not having your team's back. So obviously, if somebody did something extremely inappropriate to a guest, like that would be a dip that very rarely happens. We have a great staff. Um, but there are things that shit happens or someone just not going to be happy regardless. So, you know, it's one of those things where you deal with grace and with like an open
Open.
mind. Um, and, again,
Okay.
if somebody's inappropriate to your staff, that you take care of it immediately and explain to them why that's not okay. And if it gets escalates to have them, maybe say maybe this is not the best day for you to be here. But being kind through the whole thing as much as you can,
It helps.
and
Yeah.
as far as like and understand how you would feel if it was you, so that empathizing with people.
Empathy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a question. Another question by curious bartender. So what will make Jillian Voss curious about? Okay. So what beverage program might tickle your curiosity and to be able to explore it?
Um.
They have like a dream beverage program or. something to that line?
A dream beverage program. I mean, obviously, having no budget would be great. To do whatever you want. Um, and in a way, we
Yeah.
thought we had that was the case at DNC. It's not. But yeah, I mean, I would love to use like Rostabauer, like eau de V's and stuff, and like in 2-ounce pours. But that's just not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, obviously, having one without a budget and would be great, but that's just not feasible for anybody. Um, I mean, I have it pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I have my own little like R&D bar that I've wanted for years that I finally got that we use as like an additional space and during the day and on days we don't use it, that's where we do all
Mm-hmm.
of our R&D. So I have a pretty cool setup. And then I also have my own closet, like our own closet and fridge of like samples and stuff that we're working on. Um, so that's really everything I could ask for. Obviously, you know, we have also a small library. Of course, I would love to have a huge library of stuff, and that's growing. So I can't complain that like I don't kind of have everything I think we need, to be honest. And I like I said, I kind of have my dream job anyway. So
Okay.
I'm not going to complain, and I'm pretty happy where I am. So
Life is good.
yeah,
Life is
yeah.
beautiful. All right. So, Virgin Tonic as a question. What's your unforgettable experience in the bar that tested your management skills or managerial position? I mean, like, okay, I can feel it because I think New Yorkers are one of the most demanding clientels in the planet.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
so were you have you been tested? I mean, is there an experience that you really wouldn't forget?
Um, there's definitely been some difficult situations with, and this is in general. I'm not talking about any place in
Yeah,
particular.
yeah,
Um, where yeah, I've had some staff that have been really disrespectful. I've had to ask leave. I've had, um, people that, and again, this is not anywhere in particular, anybody in particular. But like
mm,
having to like fire someone on the spot is really really hard. Um, uh, ouch, we're not that bad. I don't know that. I'm gonna see. I don't know what that's referring to. Um, and yeah, I guess unruly guests, like having to ask somebody to leave and it's like kind of a heated situation. Those are always trying things for anybody.
yeah, yeah,
That's the most difficult thing I've had to do, and that's in general. Not one particular instance because I don't want to, call anybody out, but it's yeah, just having to ask somebody to leave, whether it's a staff member or a guest, and having to ask them to leave on the spot is really difficult. It's like to word that correctly and stay calm and not let your frustration get the better of you.
yeah.
That's kind of the most difficult. Could be,
Yeah,
that's kind of the most difficult situations I've been. And of course, whenever there's like an altercation between different guests with each other, to try and
exactly.
keep it calm or like to, and you just don't know. Like, there's people that they are strangers to you and you're trying to keep it a controlled environment. And, you could be at the fanciest bar in the world and you could be at the local dive bar and the same types of things are going
Yeah,
to happen.
exactly. Gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good answer. Perfect.
Oh,
No, it's really a tough situation. I mean, I agree with you 100%. In fact, well, they're really curious on the because since you're beverage director, management, and everybody in the starting as a bartender has aspirations of also going up the ladder and yeah, I agree 100%. One of the hardest things is when how to really how do you call this, call the person out and it's time to go or whatnot. It's really tough because of empathy also.
yep.
Okay. Do you do shots before shift
Ah,
like what they do in DNC?
well, DNC was we used to do a little thing called the was it Gangster Daiquiri Time, GDT, And we had a little
Okay.
log behind the bar. So if you were staging or you were the newest bartender, we would kind of like, um, make you make your like your favorite daiquiri. So it could be, lime, sugar, whatever proportion, and then you could make it gangster by adding in a modifier or using a blend of different rums. And we'd split up two daiquiris between the 5 or 6 of us. So it wasn't like taking hard shots, but at Death and Co, that was something we did before a shift to kind of get pumped. To
Okay.
just have a little like mini daiquiri. And then at night, at like midnight, we'd have a little cheeky whiskey or something. At Dead Rabbit, we don't have we have more of like a stricter drinking policy now. In the beginning, maybe not, but yeah, we're kind of like we do tastings and stuff during pre-shift. We'll analyze a spirit or talk about a spirit, especially Irish whiskey or a cocktail, like a classic cocktail or something. Or if we change the menu, we'll do one of the drinks and talk about it and taste it. That's just a good way to learn incrementally. But no, we're not taking shots and stuff. Like if you want to have
Okay.
a little sherry or something with a guest or a friend, that's fine. But typically we try to keep enforce that we have drinks after our shift. Yeah.
Okay. So the free. Okay. So do you have like a budget for like a free shot for the guest? Like let's say they're really your special guest and you want to give them like a farewell shot. Do you have like a few bottles extras that you tell your staff? Okay, if this is your regular guest, then give them a shot.
Um,
Then.
Again, like we do like we have like our Irish coffee. So like if I was gonna give a gift to somebody, it would
Mhm.
be like a little
Mhm.
Irish coffee or something. But that's kind of our like bartender handshake.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
our mini Irish coffees. And we also have usually another hot drink on the menu. So if you don't want coffee, we have something else. That's just a nice little end of the night thing. It's a
Mm-hmm.
nice
Mm-hmm.
gesture, and that's kind of how we do things. But I worked in bars where you have a particular bottle that you have, that's either something that you just like designate to as gifts.
To
That's either to
handshake. Yep.
regulate it and to count it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we ring everything in, so everything's accounted for. But there's different ways you can do it. I've worked in different
Yeah.
bars, do it differently. So.
All right. Yeah. Miss Simone is asking you, how do you name your drinks?
So this is a fun one. Our drink names can sound pretty wacky on their own. Maybe that's why you asked, but we for the comic books and all that, and any of the menus that we've done for the parlor, like the more cocktail ones for the cocktail bar, those are all based on the scene in which the drink is placed. So if you're trying to now off the top of my head, for instance, there was a drink called the Curb Crawler,
Mm.
and it was in the part of the scene where like that you're in like this old like 1970s muscle car creeping around the corner. So everything has to do like Sean comes up with most of the drink names, and then we have a fun conversation about what works and what doesn't. But yeah, it's pretty much Sean will look at once the comic is finished, he'll go through and like look at what's going on, and he'll come up with names based on that.
Okay. Saunders Shaker has a question. I think he knows your bar pretty well. He's asking like what's the number of staff do you have in every floor to have great service?
Again, it really depends on the day. If we're at say it's a Friday or Saturday night and we're at full capacity, we would have in the taproom extension, which is the largest part of the bar, we would have 3 bartenders and 2 servers, 1 bar back, a busser, and a food runner, just for that
Mm-hmm.
area. And then for the regular tap room, we'd have a bar back and 2 bartenders. And then the upstairs, we'd have a maitre d', 2 servers, a busser, a bar back, 2 bartenders, and we'd also have the same food runner, and then we all share a doorman. So I mean, you could
Oh,
essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12. We could potentially have like 23 people on it at the same time.
oh, okay. Wow,
Or
that's
20,
quite
if we're
a
at full capacity and event space is working up and running, we could potentially have about 24, 25 people on at one time.
wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've browsed through all the questions. Some of them are your friends. Hi from Toma Sessions Live. This is Richie. Thank you for joining me and Jillian.
So,
Okay, so do you have, okay, let me just browse through. I think we can, they love your circus answer. If you weren't a bartender, you'd be in the circus, really.
well, I used to ride the unicycle when I was a kid, and I used to juggle. So that's where that came from. I know. I
Oh,
honestly, one of my regulars actually moved, and he had a unicycle, and I saw it on his Facebook, and I go, "No way, you have a unicycle!" And when he moved, he came in through the front door with a big red unicycle and like handed it to me. My friend, oh God, D Kelly, yelling at, laughing at me. Um, but yeah, he's like, "This." I was like, "What are you doing with that thing?" He's like, "It's for you." So now I have this unicycle in my tiny little apartment. It's pretty funny. So that's kind of where it
yeah.
came.
Okay, okay. No, it's a thing. Well, some would ride a unicycle. I've seen that when I went to New York. They would carry this unicycle in the train, and then, and then they would move from place to place. I mean, whatever you can get your hands on, because
Yes.
parking there is quite tough. Also in New York. Okay, I think
Did we get
we're ready
everything?
to close. Yeah. Maybe we can take one final picture so I can post it. Okay, ready? One, two,
Hi.
three. All right, perfect. So okay, so maybe lastly, Jillian, can you give some parting words to our viewers? What's your advice to them in the bar industry?
Um. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for everybody that came and spent their evening or morning or wherever you are in the world with us. It's been great answering your questions and talking with you. So just want to say that, and I will make it to the Philippines one day when this is all over and get to hopefully meet you in person.
Yep,
Um,
yep, yep.
but I mean, listen, do what you can while we're on this kind of break. Um, Read as much as you can and rest. Use the time to rest your body and be mentally prepared to get back in the swing of things. Um, as far as becoming a bartender or elevating your career, just be kind and learn everything that you can and have some patience. It doesn't happen overnight. So um, yeah, I guess that's all I got. But let me know. I mean, you can always email me at Jillian@deadrabbitnyc.com if anybody has any further questions or you want me to elaborate or whatnot. Or even if you're coming over to New York and want to make sure that we can meet or come to the bar, just again, Jillian@deadrabbitnyc.com. So thank you so much.
All right, that's perfect. So thank you again to everyone. This was a very great session. So for those who missed the first part, hopefully you can catch that in FB Bartending School Philippines. And yeah, like I said, it is a crazy week tomorrow. Our guest would be Daniel Nevsky from used to be with Cocktails for You, and now he's doing his own independent project, the Indie Bartender. So that's gonna be another interesting Toma session. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that's great.
that's it for now. Thank you, Jillian. You've been sweet and lovely and generous. Thank you. It's an honor to have you in this show.
Honor to be
Yeah,
here. Thank you.
regards to everyone. Keep safe and yeah, good night, good morning. Enjoy your day. Bye
Ciao for
bye.
now. Bye, guys.
Yeah, ciao for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.